Hi and welcome to Making Musician. Today we're talking about burnout. So you are looking at the burnout queen. I've experienced so much burnout, especially in the last year. And I think that that's just a normal thing that kind of comes with your first year as a working professional. You know, you're taking on lots of opportunities, and one of the things that I think is always the hardest part about a new job is like just that, the fact that everything's new and you've never done any of it before. And so I think that for that reason, in your first couple years in any career field, you're a lot more prone to burnout. And also maybe like trying to prove yourself, trying to go above and beyond, trying to like learn and just like putting your all in all the time kind of does lend itself to you getting burned out eventually. Recently, I was feeling really overwhelmed and burnt out. So for context, I just got done with like a 3-month residency type program at an opera house in Sarasota. And while I was there, pretty much we just like worked constantly. Like the work is 6 days a week and it is pretty much all day. Like you might have something on the schedule as early as 9 a.m., but usually about 10, and then we might go till 9 p.m. But usually we would work probably till about 10 or 10:30, but I do remember one night we worked till like quarter of midnight, 11:45, so that was exhausting. And that's pretty normal for the workload that I was doing for those 3 months. And it was exhausting. And in addition to doing that work, I was also trying to keep up with other projects that I was working on. So then I would get to the opera house at 8 a.m. and I would practice and I would play piano and I would work on my music. And then maybe I'd have an hour or two to do that before I would have my first rehearsals for the day. And then I would also practice during my breaks and then not stop working till like maybe 10 or 11 at night. And by that point, it was kind of like eat dinner and just go back to bed so you can do it all again the next day. And don't get me wrong, I really loved this experience. And while I was there, it was actually totally fine. But then I noticed that when I got home, I was absolutely beat. I was exhausted and it just had really taken a toll on me, and I didn't realize how exhausted I was and how difficult that had really been on me. But when I got home and I had a lot of free time, I really didn't know what to do with myself and I got kind of depressed. So then my solution to this was like, well, let's just see if we can keep pushing on at the same like 70 to 80 hour a week work pace. And that was obviously unsustainable. Like I should have known that that wasn't gonna work, but you know, something about me, I gotta learn the hard way. So I just kept pushing on, and then eventually I was so burned out. Like I was like, this isn't working, I can't do this. I started to feel overwhelmed and I constantly felt like I was just like getting suffocated by my workload, and it didn't matter how much or how little I worked, it didn't go away. And I also noticed that the joy that I usually got from creating and from working and being creative just really wasn't there anymore, and I just didn't feel motivated. It very quickly became clear that that was not a sustainable way to live my life, and it also became clear that that wasn't the way that I wanted to live my life. I want to have like a really good quality of life and be super happy. My solution was to take it back to basics, and not just any basics, but like the most pared down basics I could do. Basically what I did was I asked myself, what are the 5 things that I need to do in a day to feel like I've gotten a good amount done in the day, but still kind of things that are like basic and nothing overly complicated that's really gonna take a big toll on me. Here they were. So the first one was showering 1 hour after waking up. Most days I work from home and I do everything at my own pace, and this is something I really love about my job, but this can also make it kind of tricky to have a day that has any form of structure, because most days there's not really a given time that I need to be somewhere. And so if I let myself, I will just sit around drinking cups of coffee in my living room, listening to music all day. Absolutely, just I could do that all day. I notice that as soon as I'm showered and I get dressed for the day, I immediately feel like it's time to get ready for work. So I implemented showering 1 hour after waking up. This is a really good system for me because it means that the first hour of my day is dedicated to me just kind of waking up slowly, doing things that I like, listening to music, listening to podcasts. But then that time has a clear end, and so my whole day doesn't just become that. I am most productive in the morning, so I notice that once it hits about 1 p.m., I'm gonna have a lot harder of a time getting things done. So this makes sure that I'm really taking advantage of the time when I'm at my best throughout the day. Okay, this is like stupidly simple, and the fact that I had to put this on a to-do list might feel a little bit ridiculous, but you know what, that's just, it is what it is. So the next one is staying hydrated. So during this time when I was burned out, I was really like just chronically dehydrated, which made everything worse. And it makes sense that I was dehydrated because I was going from a tropical climate to like a literal desert, and so obviously I'm gonna have different water needs in those two places. Luckily, this was really easy to fix, so I just calculated how much water I needed to drink on any given day, and then I found a container that I liked drinking out of, so I have like this cup that I bought, it's nice, and then I calculated how many of that did I need to drink a day. So I made sure that I was drinking 5 of my cup of water every day, and immediately that really helped and I started to feel better. In addition to the obvious health benefits of drinking water, I got a surprisingly strong sense of accomplishment for doing this task, so I think that it really paid off in a great way. We have 30 minutes of piano and then also voice, but like not 30 minutes of voice, just like a full practice session for voice. As a musician, it's really important that I practice every day, and moving forward, even if it's just a small step every day, is crucial to developing. During this time, I kept working at my piano skills by setting a 30-minute timer and then playing until it went off. And for these 30 minutes, anything counted as practice. So I could do scales, I could do Hanon, I could do pop music, I could learn about, any style of music that interests me. The thing that's difficult about singing is that you can't really do it right after you wake up. So for me, a few hours after I had been awake and I'd already showered and had gotten some stuff done for the day, then I would practice. And it didn't really necessarily have to be like a several hour long practice session. I mean, even just like warming up and then working on some runs that I had in a piece I was doing was fine. But doing it every day helped me to stay consistent, and I saw a really incredible amount of growth during this process. Next up, we got going on a hot girl walk every day. The hot girl walk is a burnout cure, just like from the gods for me. Getting at least 6,000 to 7,000 steps in a day really helps me to feel like my best self and take care of my physical health, and it's also really good for my mental health. Like I said, I work from home, and so it's really easy for me to go days without stepping outside. If I don't have a performance for a couple days or something where I have to go meet up with somebody for like a lesson or a coaching, it's really easy for me to not go anywhere. And so stepping out for a walk is crucial and has been so beneficial. The final thing that I did was something for either my mental health or personal development for that day. So taking care of my mental health during burnout is really, really crucial. It's easy for me to kind of like fall down a spiral and like go deeper down the burnout rabbit hole if I'm not watching my mental health. Really keeping an eye on my mental health helps me to recover faster, and this can look like a lot of different things. So maybe this is journaling, it could be listening to a podcast, having a dance party, watching YouTube, or just learning a new skill. So burnout is never fun, and this wasn't by any means the most severe burnout that I have ever experienced, but it was pretty bad, and I'm really glad that I have this system to help me overcome burnout faster so I can get back to feeling like myself. Right now I'm working on actively preventing myself from getting burned out, because that feels like the best way to do it, like, right, to not get burned out in the first place. But I'm still figuring out what that looks like for me. Right now I'm slowly adding to my workload. In the past, I have gotten a bunch of new jobs all at the same time, just like all of the gigs and things come in at the same time, and then I get really overwhelmed and I just kind of have to like churn out work constantly, and that's not the most sustainable pace for me. So right now I'm taking things on slowly, and I'm taking things on one thing at a time so that I can try it, see how I feel, see how it fits into my week, and then decide what else I can take on. Hopefully this will lead to me having a much more sustainable workload in the future going forward, so that I can have a really nice work-life balance and just not constantly be in this cycle of burning out and recovering and then overworking myself and being burned out again. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and you want to follow along, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. But thank you so much. Bye.